Well, hi there, Internet. My name's Court, and you've got courtside seats for my review of The Stand, Episode 9, The Circle Closes. Let's do it. So welcome back to my not ongoing anymore, this is the last of it. Welcome back to my review series of The Stand on CBS All Access. Now, if you've been watching my reviews, you know that overall I've enjoyed the series. I thought it started off a little bit not so great, and then it started picking up. And of course, this episode was the finale, and as many of you I'm sure know, Stephen King has famously not liked the ending of the book for quite some time. And not only was he asked to write a new ending for this, he actually wrote the teleplay for the entire episode. And of course, we'll get to all of that, but first, my usual caveat, this will be a spoilers review. I'm not going to touch on every single beat of the episode, but there are very specific things that I want to discuss. So if you haven't seen the episode yet and you want to go in cold, go watch it. Hopefully you'll come back later, but this is officially your spoiler warning. Cool? Cool. Moving on. Now, just for context, aside from the sort of epilogue with Flag, and I'll get to that later in the video, as I recall, the book ends with Stu and Frannie deciding to leave Boulder and go back to Maine. But I had completely forgotten, I had to look this up, I had completely forgotten that she gives birth to the baby and it gets Captain Trips but manages to survive it. So I found the opening to this episode absolutely heart-wrenching. When Frannie's reading the letter to her kid and we see it get sick and she's talking about not wanting it to suffer, I had a legit moment where I was like, are they really gonna kill this baby? Oh my god, that was really heavy. I also dug that moment where Frannie sees what I guess is now like the Boulder Police Squad strapping up with guns, which then gets paid off later in the conversation between Frannie and Stu about how things are eventually just going to get bad again, such is the nature of humanity. Now, I gotta say, a couple episodes back where Stu and Larry and Ray and Glenn are getting ready to leave to go to Vegas, and Frannie takes a Polaroid of them. I gotta give a shout out to someone who dropped a comment on that video, the conspicuously named Glenn Bateman, who said that the picture would return later for a feels moment. You called it, my man, and it totally worked. That got me in the feels. I will say I didn't love that not only did we not see Tom and Stu's trek back to Boulder, we didn't even see them meet up again. This was a short episode anyway, they easily could have shown us that. That said, Stu's return, meeting the baby, finding out her name is Abigail, that was a really touching moment. But then we get another one of those really awkward cuts to black. It's so bizarre. Why do they do this? I don't know. This I found quite funny. During the 4th of July barbecue shindig, there's a shot of two men talking. And the one guy I was like, I immediately recognized. I had to Google his name to make sure it was the same face, but it was. Sure enough, that was Mick Garris, who, if you don't know, he's directed a number of Stephen King properties, notably the 1994 miniseries of The Stand. Thought that was a nice touch. I don't know if the other guy was a cameo as well. Couldn't say. Let me know in the comments if you know. Now, knowing that King was rewriting the ending, I had no idea if it was going to be a significant chunk or just like a little thing tapped on at the end. Turns out it was the majority of this episode. Basically everything after Frannie and Stu decide to go back to Maine was all new stuff, except for the very, very ending, which again we'll talk about. I will say I loved the moment where they were saying goodbye to everyone and Tom started crying. I have loved Brad William Henke's portrayal of this character. It was such a nice moment. I'll also say this is the first episode where I really bought Frannie and Stu as a couple. I've liked them together before, but this was the first time I really felt their chemistry and their dynamic, and I figure that's probably because most of the episode was focused solely on them. Then they get to the house in Nebraska and we meet the little girl that I assumed was Mother Abigail in some form. The fact that she was in the cornfield and they were in Nebraska, a nod to the book, because in this show, Mother Abigail was just from Colorado. She was never in Nebraska. But like all signs pointed to, yeah, that's Mother Abigail. But I have no idea if that was some kind of rebirth or something more like a spiritual projection. What do you guys think? I'm still unsure what I think. Now, I will say all the new ending stuff I'm kind of mixed on. I do think that it felt tacked on, like it was something that was written later and then added. But while I didn't find that it felt all that cohesive, I quite liked a lot of the elements in it. I dug the well. Well, I didn't dig the well. I'm sure a production assistant dug the well. You know what I mean. I liked the well stuff. And I really liked that sequence with Flag trying to tempt Frannie. I thought that was really good. I will say some of Frannie's dialogue was not very good. It was kind of wooden, and I think her performance suffered for it. But I thought Skarsgard was great in the scene, and I loved the moment where she laughed in Flag's face, which I think was a nod to the book when Glenn does the same thing. I liked that. And I liked that we got a final send-off with elderly Mother Abigail, and her saying, "Be true, stand," then book-ended with potentially ghostly young Mother Abigail telling Frannie to stand. I thought that was a nice kind of closing of the circle. The circle closes, as it were. I was at first a little worried that they wouldn't show the book's big epilogue with Flag showing up at the primitive island nation to be worshipped, but they did. And I loved it. I loved the way Skarsgard played the seam, almost like he was drunk, and singing Why Can't We Be Friends, that was great. I will say though, much like a lot of the CGI violence in this series, when Flag blew up the guy's head, that looked terrible. So yeah, the new ending stuff, I liked a lot about it. We know that Flag's still around, so it's not like a truly happy ending, but we do know that Frannie at least gets a happy ending. She will live to be very old, surrounded by children and grandchildren, and I liked that this series had a little less of the book's ambiguity at the end. Overall, I would say that I quite enjoyed this interpretation of the book, although I have considerable problems with it along the way. But I really liked the acting, I liked some of the storytelling, particularly after they got away from the jumping back in time thing. And admittedly, I'm a little bit bummed that it's over. And at some point, I will watch this series again. So those are my thoughts on The Stand, Episode 9, The Circle Closes, the finale, and kind of my thoughts on the entire series. So now I want to know, what did you guys think of this episode? What's your favorite moment of the entire series, if you have one? Because a lot of people really don't like it, and that's fair too. Whatever your thoughts, hit the comments below. Let's discuss. If you enjoyed this review, please smash that like button and give it a share if you really enjoyed it. And hey, why not take a second, do me a favor, click subscribe and ring that bell to subscribe to my channel for more movie reviews, entertainment news, trailer reactions, all that good stuff. Hope you guys are all safe and healthy. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you all in the next one. Take care.